We don't lose ourselves all at once. We give away little pieces, thinking love will fill the gaps. But sometimes, love is the knife. I thought I knew the rules. 3 days max. No emotional attachments. No real names. No promises. But when Kanda smiled at me across that bar in Pattaya, I forgot every rule I ever made. I gave her my heart, my trust, and $50,000. She walked away with the money. I walked away with a story I'll never stop telling. Like, comment, and let me know where you're watching from, and how many pieces you've given away in the name of love. I'm sitting in my hotel room right now, staring at an empty bank account, and I need to tell someone what happened. How a 62-year-old retired construction foreman from Ohio could be so stupid. How I let a 28-year-old woman in Pattaya convince me that love was real. It started 3 months ago. I was supposed to stay 3 days. That's the rule every expat told me. 3 days max in the bars, then move on. Don't get attached. Don't learn their real names. Don't believe the stories. But that first night at Soy 6, when Kanda walked up to my table, everything felt different. She wasn't like the others. She didn't grab my arm or demand a drink. She just sat down and said, "You look sad, mister. What happened to your heart?" I laughed, told her my wife left me 2 years ago, took half my pension, the house, even our dog, said I was boring, said I never talked to her anymore. Kanda listened, really listened. When I finished, she touched my hand and said, "Maybe you just needed someone who wanted to hear your stories." I should have walked away, should have paid my bill and gone back to the hotel. Instead, I asked her name. "Kanda," she said. "It means water in Thai. My mama gave me this name because she said I would flow around all the rocks in life." That's when I broke the first rule. I told her my real name wasn't Bill. It was William. William James Patterson. And for the first time in 2 years, saying my full name felt like something worth remembering. The next morning I woke up thinking about her questions. Not the usual bar girl questions about my job or my money. She asked about my childhood, about my dreams, about what made me laugh. I went back that second night. She was there, wearing a simple blue dress, sitting alone at the bar. When she saw me, her face lit up like I was someone special. "William," she said, remembering my real name, "you came back." We talked for hours. She told me about her village in Isan, how she sent money home to her mother and younger brother, how she dreamed of opening a small restaurant someday. Nothing fancy, just good food and honest work. "I'm not stupid," she said. "I know what you think about girls like me, but I'm not looking for a customer. I'm looking for a friend." That's when I broke the second rule. I took her outside the bar. We walked along Beach Road, talking about everything and nothing. She didn't ask for money, didn't try to take me to a hotel. She just wanted to walk and talk. When I offered to buy her dinner at a real restaurant, she hesitated. "You don't have to take care of me," she said. "I can take care of myself." But there was something in her eyes, a loneliness that matched my own. I realized we were both running from something. Me from a marriage that died slowly. Her from a poverty that never let go. At dinner she asked about my work. I told her about building houses, how I loved seeing empty lots turn into homes, where families would grow up. She listened like my stories mattered. "You create places where people belong," she said. "That's beautiful work." No one had ever called my work beautiful. My ex-wife called it dirty. My kids called it boring. But Kanda saw something different. That night she didn't go back to the bar. She came to my hotel, not for money, just to be close to someone who saw her as more than a transaction. I should have remembered the 3-day rule, should have caught my flight home the next morning. Instead, I extended my trip for a week. By day 4, I wasn't thinking about rules anymore. I was thinking about Kanda's laugh. How she covered her mouth when she smiled. How she made me coffee every morning, exactly the way. How I liked it, huh? Even though I never told her how. I started planning my days around her schedule. Mornings at the beach, afternoons exploring temples, evenings cooking together in my hotel's kitchenette. She taught me to make somtam. I taught her to make scrambled eggs, the way my grandmother used to. "You know," she said one evening, curled up against my shoulder. "I never met a man who cooks for me before." That's when I made the biggest mistake. I started believing this was real. On day 6, she disappeared for 3 hours without explanation. When she came back, her phone kept buzzing with messages in Thai. She turned it face down and smiled. "Sorry," she said, "my friend has problems with her boyfriend. Girl drama." I believed her, wanted to believe her, because the alternative meant admitting I was just another lonely foreigner in Pattaya, falling for the oldest trick in the book. That night she asked about my life in Ohio, my house, my pension, how much money I had saved. "I'm curious about your world," she said. If this is real, I want to understand your life." Red flag number 1, but I was too blind to see it. I told her everything, about the $75,000, 0 cents in my retirement account, about my small house outside Cincinnati, about how lonely I'd been since the divorce. "You deserve better than lonely," she said, kissing my forehead. "You deserve someone who appreciates what you built." Red flag number 2, but all I heard was that someone finally appreciated me. On day 8, she mentioned her mother was sick, needed surgery. The hospital wanted $5,000, 0 cents, up front. I don't know what to do," she cried. "I can't lose my mama, she's all I have." I held her while she sobbed. Real tears, real pain, or so I thought. "I can help," I said. "Let me help." She pulled back, eyes wide. "No, William, I can't take your money, we barely know each other." But I insisted, transferred $5,000, 0 cents to her account that night. She cried again, happy tears this time. "You saved my mama's life," she whispered. "I will never forget this." Red flag number 3. But I felt like a hero, like I mattered to someone again. I extended my trip another week, then another. 3 weeks became a month. The 3-day rule became a joke I told myself in the mirror every morning. I was falling in love, and love, I thought, didn't follow rules. By the end of my first month, I couldn't imagine leaving Thailand, couldn't imagine leaving Canada. So, I made a decision that changed everything. "What if I stayed?" I asked her one morning over coffee. "What if I moved here permanently?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You would do that? Leave your whole life for me?" "What life?" I said. "I have no wife. My kids barely call. Ohio is just a place where I watch TV alone, every night." That's when she told me about the visa agent, her friend who could help me get a retirement visa, fast and easy, only $15,000, 0 cents for all the paperwork and connections. "Usually takes months," she said, "but Kun Somchai knows people. He can do it in 2 weeks." I should have done my research, should have gone to the immigration office myself, should have asked other expats about the process. Instead, I trusted her completely. We met Kun Somchai at a coffee shop in central Pattaya. Middle-aged Thai man in an expensive suit. Gold watch, gold teeth. He spoke perfect English and seemed to know exactly what I needed. "Mr. Patterson," he said, shaking my hand firmly, "Kanda tells me you want to make Thailand your home. Very good choice. Very good girl, this one." He explained the process. Bank requirements, health certificates, police clearances from America. All very complicated, he said. All very expensive if you didn't know the right people. "Lucky for you, I know everyone," he smiled. "Immigration officer is my cousin. Bank manager is my friend from university. We can have everything ready in 10 days. Kanda squeezed my hand under the table. "See, told you Kun Somchai is the best." I transferred $15,000, 0 cents that afternoon. Kun Somchai promised to call me in 3 days with updates. 3 days passed. No call. "Don't worry," Kanda said. "These things take time. Government is slow." A week passed. Still nothing. When I tried calling Kun Somchai's number, it was disconnected. When I went to the coffee shop, the waitress said she'd never seen him before. "Maybe he's just busy," Kanda said, but she wouldn't look me in the eyes when she said it. That night, I couldn't sleep. For the first time since I'd met her, I started wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. But when Kanda curled up against me, whispering how much she loved me, how grateful she was for everything I'd done, the doubt faded. Love makes you stupid, makes you believe what you need to believe. The next morning, Canda's phone rang early. She answered in rapid Thai, then hung up quickly. "Who was that?" I asked. "Wrong number," she said, but her hands were shaking. Red flag number 4, but I was already $20,000, 0 cents deep, too invested to turn back now. Everything fell apart on a Tuesday morning in my second month. I was supposed to meet Canda for lunch, but I got to the restaurant early, wanted to surprise her with flowers, wanted to tell her I'd decided to propose. That's when I saw them together. Canda and a young Thai man sitting at a corner table, holding hands across the table like lovers do. She was wearing the gold bracelet I'd bought her the week before. He was wearing a watch that looked suspiciously like the Rolex I'd helped her buy for her brother. I stood there, frozen, watching my girlfriend of 2 months kiss another man, not a friendly kiss, not a family kiss, a real kiss, a lover's kiss. They were laughing about something. She showed him photos on her phone, photos of me, photos of us together. He nodded and smiled like he was reviewing her work proficence. I wanted to storm over there, wanted to confront them both. Instead, I hid behind a pillar like a coward and listened. They spoke Thai, but I caught a few English words. Farang? Money? Stupid. My heart stopped when I heard her laugh and say in English, "He thinks I love him. Gave me 20,000 already, maybe 50 more if I play sick mother again." The young man replied in English, "Good job, baby. Just don't let him find out about us. Keep him happy until his money is gone." "Don't worry," Candace said. "Old American men are easy. They just want to feel young again. I tell him he's handsome, he gives me everything." I stood there for 20 minutes, listening to them plan my financial destruction, listening to the woman I loved describe me like a mark in a con game. When they finally left together, I followed them, watched them go to a small apartment building, watched him unlock the door with a key, watched them disappear inside like they'd done it 1,000 times before. I sat in my rental car for 2 hours, trying to process what I'd seen, trying to understand how I'd been so blind, so stupid, so desperate for love that I'd ignored every warning sign. My phone buzzed, a text from Canda. "Sorry, baby. Lunch cancelled. Mama needs more tests at hospital. I go with her now. Love you so much." That's when the rage hit. Not just anger, pure burning rage at her lies, at my stupidity, at the 50-year-old man in the mirror who'd fallen for the oldest scam in Thailand. I drove straight to her bar, asked the mama-san about Canda. "Oh, you mean Canda," she said. "She no work here anymore. Quit last month. Says she found rich boyfriend." Canda. Her real name. Canda is just bar name. Make it easy for Farang to remember. Even her name was a lie. I asked about the young man I'd seen her with. The mama-san smiled. "That's Jet, her boyfriend. They together 3 years now. Live in same apartment. She, very smart girl, very good at her job." "What job?" "Finding lonely men with money," she said simply. "Same job as all girls here, just better at it." I went back to my hotel and threw up. Literally threw up. 2 months of memories came flooding back. Every sweet word, every gentle touch, every tear she'd cried about her sick mother, all of it was a performance, all of it was a lie. That night she came to my room as usual, kissed me hello, asked about my day, told me her mother was feeling better thanks to the surgery I'd paid for. I looked at her face, really looked, and saw a stranger. A very good actress, but a stranger. "How's your boyfriend?" I asked quietly. Her face went white. "What boyfriend?" "William, what are you talking about?" "Jet," I said. "The one you've been living with for 3 years." The mask finally slipped. For just a moment, I saw the real person underneath, cold, calculating, annoyed that her cover was blown. Then she started crying. "I can explain," she sobbed. "It's not what you think." But I was done thinking, done believing, done being stupid. After I confronted her about Jet, Canda disappeared for 3 days, completely vanished, wouldn't answer my calls or texts. I stayed in my hotel room, ordering room service and drinking too much Chang, beer, waiting for her to come back with an explanation that would make sense. Because part of me still wanted to believe it wasn't real. Part of me still needed her to be the woman who'd made me feel alive again. On the fourth day, she showed up at my door at 2 a.m., crying hysterically. "William, please let me explain," she sobbed. "Yes, I know Jet, but it's not what you think. He's my brother. My half-brother, same father, different mother." I wanted to slam the door in her face. Should have slammed the door. Instead, I let her in. She sat on my bed and told me an elaborate story about family shame and secret relationships. How she couldn't tell me about Jet because her family would lose face. How, in Thai culture, it was complicated. "You saw us kiss because he was upset about his girlfriend. I was comforting him like sister does." It was bullshit, complete bullshit, but I was so lonely, so desperate to believe that the last 2 months hadn't been a complete lie, that I listened. "The mama-san doesn't understand," she continued. "She thinks Jet is my boyfriend because we live in same building, but he lives with his girlfriend upstairs. I live alone downstairs." More lies. But she was crying so convincingly, touching my face so gently, telling me she loved me and couldn't bear to lose me. "If you don't believe me," she said, "I'll show you the apartment. You can meet his girlfriend. You can see that I'm telling the truth." So I went. Like an idiot, I went. She took me to the same building I'd followed them to, but this time she led me to a different apartment, a tiny studio with just a bed, a mini fridge, and a few clothes hanging on a wire. "This is where I live," she said, "alone, just like I told you." It looked legitimate, looked like a single woman's apartment. Of course it did. She'd probably prepared it for exactly this moment. "Where does Jet live?" I asked. "Upstairs with Ploy, his girlfriend. You want to meet them?" Before I could answer, she was knocking on the door above. A young Thai woman answered. Kanda introduced her as Ploy, Jet's girlfriend. Jet appeared behind her, shaking my hand like we were meeting for the first time. They all spoke English together, confirming Kanda's story. Yes, Jet was her half-brother. Yes, they lived in the same building but separate apartments. Yes, it was all very innocent. I should have seen through it, should have realized they were all in on it together. But I wanted so badly for it to be true that I convinced myself it was. That night, Kanda stayed with me again, made love to me like nothing had happened, whispered that she was sorry for the confusion, grateful that I trusted her, excited about our future together. And I believed her, because the alternative was admitting that I'd been the biggest fool in Thailand, that at 62 years old, I'd fallen for a scam so obvious that every expat in Pattaya could have seen it coming. For 2 more weeks, I pretended everything was normal. We went back to our routine of meals and temples and quiet evenings together. But something had changed. I started watching her more carefully, started noticing things. How she always kept her phone face down, how she sometimes forgot which lies she'd told me, how she'd slip into Thai when she was angry, not realizing I'd started picking up more of the language. Most of all, I noticed how she never looked quite as happy as she had before, like maintaining the lie was getting harder, like I was becoming more work than profit. The doubt was eating me alive, but I was too proud and too scared to admit I'd been fooled. The end came exactly 3 months after I'd met her, 3 months after I'd thrown away the 3-day rule and every piece of common sense I'd ever had. Kanda came to me with the biggest lie yet. "William," she said, hands trembling, eyes full of tears, "I have to tell you something terrible." She sat me down and explained that Jet, her half-brother, had been arrested, caught with drugs, facing 10 years in prison unless someone could pay for a good lawyer. "I know you already gave so much money," she cried, "but his family, I can't let him go to prison. The lawyer wants $30,000. I don't know what to do." She showed me official-looking papers in Thai, police reports, court documents, a lawyer's business card. All of it looked real. All of it was probably fake. If I don't pay by tomorrow, they transfer him to Bangkok prison. Once he's there, no lawyer can help him. I stared at those papers, knowing I was looking at the final act of an elaborate con, knowing that giving her this money would leave me financially destroyed, knowing that after she got it, she'd disappear forever. But I also knew something else. I knew that saying no meant admitting the truth about everything. About her, about me, about the last 3 months of my life. "How much do you have left?" she asked gently. I told her the truth, about $30,000, 0 cents in my retirement account, my life savings, everything I had left after the divorce. "I can't ask you to give me everything," she said, "but maybe half, 15,000, and I'll find the rest somewhere else." She was giving me an out, a way to lose only half my savings instead of all of it, a way to preserve some dignity while she robbed me blind. But I was done with half measures, done with pretending. If I was going to be a fool, I'd be a complete fool. "Take it all," I said. Her eyes widened. "William, no, I can't. Take all of it. 30,000. Save your brother. Then we'll figure out what comes next." I think that surprised her. She'd probably planned to take the 15,000 and disappear, but when I offered everything, she couldn't resist. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "I'm sure," I said. "We're going to be together forever, right? What's mine is yours." The next morning, I transferred my entire retirement savings to her account. $30,000, 0 cents. Every penny I had left in the world. She cried when the transfer went through, kissed me like I was her savior, promised she'd pay me back as soon as her brother was safe. "I love you so much," she said. "You saved my family. I will never forget this." That afternoon, she said she had to go to the lawyer's office, had to bring the money in person, would be back by evening with good news about Jet. She never came back. I waited in that hotel room for 3 days, called her phone 100 times, went to her apartment, went to every place we'd been together. Everyone had the same story. They hadn't seen Kanda in days. Didn't know where she'd gone. Some claimed they'd never heard of her at all. I finally went to the tourist police, told them the whole embarrassing story. The officer, a kind Thai man who'd probably heard this same story 1,000 times, listened patiently. "I'm sorry, sir," he said when I finished, "but you gave money to your girlfriend willingly. No crime was committed." "But she lied to me about everything." "Lying to boyfriend is not illegal," he said gently. "Only stealing is illegal. But you gave money as gift, yes?" He was right. I'd given her everything willingly, eagerly, desperately. I'd been the perfect mark, a lonely, divorced American with money and a broken heart. She'd played me like a violin for 3 months, and I'd paid her $75,000, 0 cents for the privilege. The officer gave me a card for a victim support group. "Many Farang men come here," he said. "You are not alone." But I felt alone. Completely, utterly alone. I've been back in Ohio for 2 weeks now, sitting in the same empty house my ex-wife left me in, drinking coffee from the same mug, watching the same TV shows. But everything is different now. I'm broke, completely broke. Had to borrow money from my brother just to buy the plane ticket home. Had to take out a loan against the house to pay my bills. At 62 years old, I'm starting over with nothing. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is looking in the mirror every morning and seeing the truth about who I am, about what I did to myself. I keep replaying those 3 months, looking for the moment when I could have walked away, when I could have saved myself. But the truth is, there was no single moment. There were 100 moments. 1,000 red flags I chose to ignore. Because I didn't want to be alone anymore. Because I'd rather be fooled than face the fact that maybe my ex-wife was right. Maybe I was boring. Maybe I didn't deserve love. Maybe a 62-year-old construction worker from Ohio had no business dreaming about romance with a beautiful woman half his age. Kanda didn't steal my money. I gave it to her, handed it over with a smile and a kiss, because I needed to believe I was special, needed to believe I was worthy of love. But she wasn't the villain in this story. I was. I was the man who abandoned common sense for a fantasy, who ignored every warning because the truth was too painful to face. I joined that support group the police officer mentioned, video calls with other men who'd been through the same thing. Construction workers and teachers and retirees from America and Australia and England. All of us broke, all of us shamed, all of us trying to figure out how we'd been so stupid. But listening to their stories, I realized something. We weren't stupid. We were lonely. There's a difference. Loneliness makes you do desperate things, makes you believe what you need to believe, makes you pay any price for the illusion of connection. The woman I called Kanda probably has 5 other boyfriends right now, 5 other lonely men sending her money for sick mothers and arrested brothers and visa problems. It's her job. She's good at it because she understands what we need, to feel important, to feel chosen, to feel young again. I don't hate her for it. How can I hate someone for being better at her job than I was at protecting myself? My brother thinks I should be angry, thinks I should hire a private investigator, track her down, get my money back. But what's the point? The money is gone. Has been gone since the first time I wired her $5,000 for her mother's surgery. The real question isn't how to get my money back. It's how to get my self-respect back. How to look in the mirror without feeling like a fool. I think the answer is acceptance. Accepting that I made these choices, accepting that I was lonely enough to believe obvious lies, accepting that at 62, I still have things to learn about myself. I'm seeing a therapist now, a woman about my age who doesn't judge me for what happened. She says loneliness isn't a character flaw, says the need for connection is human, says the real work isn't beating myself up for being fooled. It's figuring out how to build real connections that don't cost me everything. Some nights I still miss her, miss the woman I thought she was, miss feeling like someone in this world gave a damn about William James Patterson, but I'm learning to live with that emptiness, instead of trying to fill it with expensive fantasies. Maybe that's what growing up really means, learning to be alone without being desperate, learning to want love without needing it so badly that you'll believe anything. 6 months later, I'm still in Ohio, still in the same house, but I'm not the same man who left for Thailand last year. I got a part-time job at a local hardware store. Doesn't pay much, but it gets me out of the house. Gives me people to talk to, customers who need help with their projects. Real problems with real solutions. Yesterday, a young couple came in looking for supplies to build a deck. Reminded me why I loved construction in the first place, the satisfaction of creating something solid, something that lasts. You know a lot about this stuff, the husband said as I helped them load lumber into their truck. 40 years in the business, I told him, built a lot of decks in my time. Maybe you could help us with ours. We'd pay you, of course. I thought about it, about getting my hands dirty again, about building something instead of tearing myself down. Sure, I said, I'd like that. It's a small thing, a weekend job helping young homeowners build their first deck, but it feels like progress, feels like moving forward instead of looking backward. I still get emails sometimes, usually from women in Thailand or the Philippines or Vietnam, beautiful photos, sad stories about sick relatives or business troubles, promises of love if I just send a little money to help. I delete them without reading past the first line, not out of anger or bitterness, just out of self-preservation. Like an alcoholic walking past a bar, I know what's inside and I know it's not for me. The support group still meets every Tuesday night. Some guys come and go. Some stick around for months, working through their shame and anger. We don't judge each other. Don't give advice unless someone asks. Just listen and nod, and remember that we're not alone in this. Last week, a new guy joined, 60-year-old accountant from Texas, lost $40,000, 0 cents to a woman in Cambodia. Same story, different country. Same loneliness, different lies. After the meeting, he asked me how long it takes to stop feeling stupid. I'll let you know when I find out, I told him, but the feeling gets smaller, takes up less space in your head. That's the truth. The shame is still there, but it's not the only thing there anymore. There's also my work, my brother's family, my Tuesday night meetings. Small things that add up to a life worth living. I don't think I'll ever go back to Southeast Asia, not because I'm afraid of the women there, they were just doing their jobs, but because I'm afraid of who I become when I'm that lonely and that desperate. Maybe someday I'll find real love again, maybe with a woman my own age who has her own house and her own problems and her own reasons for being careful with her heart. Someone who wants companionship instead of salvation, someone who sees my scars and has a few of her own. Or maybe I'll stay single, learn to be content with my own company, learn that being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. Either way, I'll survive. We all do, somehow. We survive our mistakes and our broken hearts and our empty bank accounts. We get up every morning and figure out how to live with what we've done and who we've become. That's not poetry. That's just life, and life, I'm learning, is enough.